As you know, Fiats have a reputation for unreliability. I'm sure there are some Fiat fans out there who disagree, but I'm sure there's a lot of you, and you could post in the comments, that have very specific Fiat trauma. So here's a team out of the Pacific Northwest who decided to put all of that controversy aside by swapping in a completely different, more modern drivetrain from a company known for reliability.
They put a Volkswagen VR6 in it, didn't they?
They sure did.
This is Team BSOD, which is short for Blue Screen of Death, which is a reference to another very reliable product, Microsoft Windows.
You'll notice that this scanner build... Whoa.
Now, they first scored this 1987 Fiat X19. Actually, being an 87, it's technically a Bertoni X19, because there's a slightly out-of-business Fiat in the USA at the time.
That happens.
Now, they scored this car in a fairly common Lemons fashion by setting a marketplace filter for cars $1,000 and under, and with complete reckless disregard for what kind of cars that would turn up. And this X19 was up for $600, and wouldn't you know it, the seller immediately accepted $500 offer.
Take that money and run.
Unlike a lot of teams with a weird car, BSOD wasn't necessarily looking for a weird car, but now that they have one, they're really glad they went that route. The team captain Chris says that everybody cheers for the car and in several cases have gone out of their way to lend time, knowledge, and parts to their effort. And the team has always admired other incredibly stupid Lemons builds. And the team has always admired other off-the-beaten-path Lemons builds, stuff like the Chotus, the Audi-swapped Opel GT, the Diesel 911, the Mitsuoka Vute, so it's really become an honor to now be towards that end of the Lemons spectrum.
They did a few races with the stock Fiat drivetrain and stayed close to the Lemons budget by taking advantage of things like free parts and resurfacing cylinder heads on Chris's kitchen counter. But it wasn't long before the engine swap bug bit the team, and instead of doing something predictable like a Honda K-swap, they grabbed a 2.8-liter 12-valve VR6 lying around Chris's garage from an unfinished Corrado project, slapped that in instead.
Yeah, and by slapped that in, we mean they took this engine, which had sat waiting for its moment of glory for 10 years, and they fired it up with the oil filter oil cooler circuit plumbed in backwards, which immediately destroyed that engine on the first startup.
So they sourced another VR6 and bolted it to a Volkswagen O2A transaxle with a homemade adapter to reverse the shift pattern because it's a mid-engine placement in the X19. Amazingly, the Volkswagen and Fiat axles have the same spline pattern and CV joints, so they just had to modify the length of the half shafts to connect the Volkswagen drivetrain to the rear wheels.
The wheels themselves are from a Fiat 500 Abarth, the brakes are Fiat 500 as well, and the suspension is a mixture of junkyard Coney struts and Universal Slam Yo Civic brand coilover kits.
Hey man, buy this Slam Yo Civic.
Slam Yo Civic coilovers, available now. The result of all of that, according to the team, is a spring rate that is too stiff for the dampers, but not stiff enough for the car, and completely inadequate braking.
Perfect.
While thematically tempting, the team did not use Microsoft Windows for the engine electronics, instead going for a DIY open source ECU from Free Open Motorsports ECU. And actually, this is the latest example of open source electronics the team has used on the VR6. There was that older version with no NOx sensor that resulted in several melted pistons.
Yeah, so the first race with the VR6 at Pacific Raceways in 2024 wasn't without some challenges. The Friday before the race, the team blew a head gasket, and then they stayed up until 4 a.m. replacing that, and then they made the green flag, but there were some signs that there were still problems.
Yeah, they were back in the pits shortly thereafter, trying to figure out why they still had questionable compression, so the head had to come back off, and they discovered this.
Oh lord. Yeah, that'll do it.
And they kept at it even after that. They went back to their home garage where they had a bunch of spare VR6 crap. They brought like a Tupperware of that stuff back to the track. They rebuilded the engine in the paddock, got it running again, and it ran perfectly for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, not so much. The post-mortem from that race revealed that the melted pistons were the result of spark instability.
If you're living with moderate to severe...
Spark instability.
In other words, there was premature detonation.
If you're living with moderate to severe...
Premature detonation.
Now, here's where I have to explain myself a little bit. I am on record saying that swapping the coil will never fix the running issue with your Lemons car. So, I'm an old coot. And when I say swapping the coil, I mean changing out a single 12-volt coil that looks like this. Of course, I'm aware that swapping a coil to the younger generation might mean changing something that looks like this. So I need to revise my statement. If your Ford 302 is running like crap, the coil is not the issue. But if you have, I don't know, any 21st century European car, then the coil hella is the issue. Got it?
Yeah.
So they added the updated ECU with NOx sensors, but a week before the second race with the VR6, they still had detonation issues, and in a last-ditch attempt to fix it, they grabbed 6 coils from a GM truck, bodged them into the car, and it fixed the issue. The car ran so well, in fact, that they finished 23rd overall and were awarded the grand prize in Lemons, the Index of Affluency.
Yeah, and maybe even a bigger honor than that is that this car, as far as the team knows, is the only running VR6 swapped X19. Either that, as the team points out, if anyone else has done this swap, they were too embarrassed to tell anyone.
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, another Vega is sent to the crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?